Hello, I'm Janelle Perez. Welcome to Rappler Talk. Today we are joined by San Juan City Mayor Francis Zamora. During his campaign to end the 50-year rule of the Ejército Estrada clan in the city, he promised a new kind of governance. He's promised to provide affordable healthcare, to provide in-city housing for over 300 families in the city, as well as to make San Juan a smart city, providing free Wi-Fi for all its citizens. Is he on track? Hello, sir. Thank you for joining us today. So how have your first 100 days been?
Okay, first of all, good day to you, Janelle, and to everyone watching Rappler Talk. So far, so good. Honestly, I am very happy with how our first 100 days have gone by regarding our major promises during the campaign. I'm happy to say that first, the high-rise in-city public housing project. We've already done the groundbreaking with the National Housing Authority General Manager, Marcelino Escalada Jr. This is the first high-rise in-city socialized public housing project in the Philippines. This will be 22 stories. It will have 396 units with an average unit size of 29 square meters. So we had our groundbreaking last week, and we're now right on track on building our first 22-story condo pabahay in San Juan. Secondly, for our free Wi-Fi program or our smart city initiatives, we've already signed a memorandum of agreement with the DICT, headed by Secretary Gregorio Honasan, wherein San Juan was chosen to be the pilot city of DICT's free Wi-Fi for all program. And we signed the MOA about 2 weeks ago, providing for free Wi-Fi in various public places in all 21 barangays of San Juan, specifically barangay halls, barangay basketball courts, barangay multipurpose halls, public schools, police community precincts, health centers, our market, our San Juan Medical Center, City Hall, Pinaglabanan Shrine, the mini park, and all other areas that are within the range of DICT's access points. So this is already starting, and by 2020, all the internet signals in 21 barangays would be up. And we've also signed our memorandum of agreement with Globe Telecoms. Same thing for free Wi-Fi in our barangay halls and other public areas. And I'm set to sign with the PLDT Smart Group with Mr. Manny Pangilinan, also for the same free Wi-Fi program for San Juan. I'm also already in talks with Multisys Technologies Corporation. He is like the Google here in the Philippines. This is for the electronic kiosks, which we will deploy in different barangays, wherein you can now pay your bills, your utilities. Also, you can pay for government services, business taxes, real property taxes through the kiosk. And the same kiosk will be mirrored in the San Juan City app, which he is also developing for us. So for those who are more learned in terms of technology through the smartphone, you can do this through the San Juan City app, which he is developing for us. So if you're not so techie, you can do it through the electronic kiosks, which will be deployed in all the barangay halls in San Juan.
Mga when po yung expected rollout? Or
And yan, we've already agreed on what machine to use, so they're now producing the machines. And the San Juan City app really will be based on what we will need in terms of communicating with our constituents. But first thing is to have the free Wi-Fi all over San Juan. So once the Wi-Fi is up, the app will also be launched, and this will now change the face of local governance, because you don't really have to go to City Hall anymore to transact. You can also, as a concerned citizen, if you see an emergency on the street, you can simply take a photo, send it through the app, and then our command center will see this So we can now dispatch an ambulance or a fire truck or a police vehicle. So that is the essence of the San Juan City app, using technology. And it allows also for quicker response from the local government in terms of complaints, issues and concerns. You don't have to traditionally go anymore to City Hall and file a complaint or something. You can already just report these through the app. And announcements and notifications can be done also through the San Juan City app. So assume that each and every constituent in San Juan will actually be a San Juan app user. If I will announce suspension of classes tomorrow, then they will be notified through the app.
May notification.
Yes.
So, yeah, although you do that naman on Facebook, right?
Yes, but the app is different because once it's in your phone, it's really all San Juan concerns will be addressed through the app.
So really on the way to becoming a smart city po talaga.
Yes, that's actually one of our biggest campaign promises. At the same time, I really want San Juan to be technologically advanced.
Part of making San Juan a smart city, I know that you also promised to make governance more transparent.
Yes.
So how is that going to play into it being a smart city? So what sort of transparency in governance will reflect in the app, I guess, and in
Yes, actually, if you notice, what has changed the landscape in politics is social media, because things that were not reported before, in terms of probably anomalies and things that local governments do, they were not reported really through traditional media. But since there's social media, people are now monitoring and watching us in the local government, and giving people access to the internet and to the San Juan City app will actually make things more transparent, because even I, as the mayor, and all department heads and everyone here in City Hall, we will make sure that everything we do is within the bounds of law, and it also helps do the check and balance with our constituents and with our employees here in City Hall, because everyone now knows that everyone can see and watch us, and they can actually check if we are doing what we're supposed to do. So I've already also issued the Executive Order number 1. This was my first executive order. This is really a pre-audit system wherein any transaction that the local government will undertake must really go through a pre-audit first internally among all our departments to ensure that it is following all laws prescribed.
And so far, how has that EO been?
Yes. So far, so good also, because the EO was promulgated during the first week of my term as mayor, and it was a strong message to each and every San Juan City government department head and employee that under my watch as mayor, things will be very different from before. In fact, we've already investigated a lot of anomalies. We've unearthed a lot of things which I feel deserve further investigation. An example of this is the rental of San Juan Gym. It is our basketball gym that we rent out. The first 3 months under my term, the rent that we were able to earn was almost 650,000 pesos already. But based on data, for the entire 2017, what they reported as earnings was less than 200,000 only. So in only 3 months, we were able to earn around 650,000 pesos already. And I also was able to discover that the previous administration procured a 40 million peso spider excavator or a backhoe, which was intended to do river cleanup. But guess how many times it has been used?
Once? How many times?
0.
Oh my God. So where is it?
It's just parked here. Because one, it cannot fit in our waterways. Two, it cannot be deployed to the creek and the river because there's no way to actually bring it down. But that's 40 million pesos. So these are things that happened before, and through Executive Order number 1 should not happen anymore. Unfortunately, around 3 weeks ago, we caught a City Hall employee who actually went to a business here in Green Hills. The business offered to pay them 40,000 pesos to haul old furniture, and the City Hall employee misrepresented himself. He did not tell the business that the vehicle that he will use is actually a vehicle of City Hall. So he used the vehicle of City Hall plus the gasoline. He charged 40,000 pesos and eventually sold the furniture which he hauled from this business. I mean, these are things that we are trying to stop through this executive order.
And you think did this, culture, like, for example, that employee haven't been able to do that, was this a culture from before, or from,
Well,
let's say you were councilor, you were vice mayor, was this something you had observed from before?
Well, for me, probably they got used to the old system, and now that we've come in as mayor, I really want them to realize that things will not be the same as before, that we will run San Juan transparently, and that we will be implementing rules and regulations to ensure order in the local government.
So now that you mentioned that was something you discovered 3 weeks ago, but then earlier you also went back to some of your first days.
Yes.
Another thing that I think was in the news during your first weeks or first days as mayor was the uncollected tax from
Yes.
the previous administration. So how has that been addressed? What is being done to address that?
Okay, I appointed a new business permits and licensing office head. In fact, the old one resigned 1 week into my term. Also, I appointed a new city assessor. The old one resigned before I assumed the office. So these are the two departments that are income generating. And being income generating, we really have to guard them well. Regarding the unpaid or uncollected business taxes, I'm having these businesses now reviewed and audited. But one thing that we saw based on the investigation the last few weeks, there are 400 businesses in San Juan which declared zero sales. How can you stay on or live as a business if you are actually having zero sales? But why are these companies or businesses still open? So obviously something is wrong, and within the first 100 days we've launched investigations already, and slowly we are unearthing all of these. And regarding real property tax, we saw that the assessments now being charged to our San Juan residents who have properties are not fair, because the previous city assessor and his team did a table assessment only. They did not go out on the field to check each and every property to assess if indeed there's already depreciation, if the structure is old or new. So what they did was an across-the-board table assessment. So a lot of people are now complaining about this, but we're explaining that this is because the previous administration mishandled the assessment. In fact, in 2017, the former mayor and former vice mayor signed an ordinance, approved an ordinance, increasing real property taxes for land and for properties and improvement. And the implementation started in 2018 for the land, and the implementation for properties and improvements started 2019. But they did not implement it before the elections because they know politically this would affect them. So what they did was they deferred the implementation. Thus, when I started as mayor, now the effects are being felt. but this is actually an approved ordinance way back from 2017. So you see that there are a lot of things that really have to be fixed in San Juan. That is why I already appointed a new city assessor, and I told them that if people will complain about the assessment that they're getting now, they can do a reassessment, and they should actually go out on the field and see if these properties are 10, 20, 30 years old, then they should not be charged very high because these properties have already depreciated.
Okay, so you kind of hinted at, talked about the previous administration.
Yes.
Kamusta naman po yung naging transition from yeah, intriga.
Well, marami ng department heads na nag-resign slowly. From July up to today, a couple of them have resigned or have already submitted their resignations effective November and December. Also, I really talk to our employees and to our department heads. I tell them we are here to serve our people. If they will be very politicized and they will still give allegiance to the former administration, then they should rethink what they're doing, because the people have already spoken and they have already elected a new mayor. So I enjoin them to be supportive of our executive agenda. But those who have resigned and those who will actually still be resigning, they're free to go if they really don't want to support our administration. But there are also department heads who, from day one, have been very supportive. So I guess it really depends on the person and how dedicated they are to the city of San Juan. I don't ask loyalty for the mayor. I ask loyalty to the city.
Saan mga departments po kayo nagkakaproblema, if any?
Well, yung dalawang nabanggit ko kanina, yung mga income generating, yung business permits and licensing office, and the assessor's office. Kasi nandyan yung pera.
Hanggang ngayon po?
No more, because nag-resign na sila parehas. And I've already appointed new department heads
yes.
For these two departments.
Okay, so
But it's an ongoing process. Also, since the Estradas have controlled San Juan for the last 49 years, almost 50 years, each and every employee here in City Hall is an Estrada appointee.
so not just the heads, right?
No, not just the
Even
heads. You're talking about all employees.
Yeah, all employees. So yung may problem po ba with the employees, not just the heads?
No,
like
actually,
until now?
sila naman nakasama ko rin when I was
Yes,
councilor,
you were
when I was vice
here.
mayor. There are hardliners. There are those who are here really just to work. You cannot really generalize all of them. But what I really try to instill in them is the fact that we are here to serve the people of San Juan, regardless of your political affiliation. If you will indeed be true to your responsibilities to serve our people, then we will not have any problem. Like, for example, this problem we are now facing with the real property tax, it's giving everyone a headache simply because the previous city assessor and the people he assigned to do this did not do their jobs. And we're really getting a lot of complaints right now, so we are trying to solve all of this. I've already instructed for the reassessment. So anyone watching now who feels that they got an unfair assessment can come here to City Hall and have it reassessed.
Nung first weeks niyo rin po, there was it was in the news then. There was a tension in council, right? And I talked to Vice Mayor Villa about it as well. Have they warmed up to you? Or kamusta na po yung dynamics with the council? I mean, I know you don't work with the council as much, but...
There are 14 city councilors. 12 were recently elected last May. And then 2 are holdovers, the president of the barangay captains and the SK Federation president. Out of the 12 that were elected, originally 3 were from my political party, 9 were allied with my opponent then. But after just a few weeks, I now have 9 city councilors, which already constitutes a majority city council. So this is more than enough for me. All I need is a majority city council. I would rather have councilors who really support our executive agenda. The 9 that I have now, I'm very happy and confident that they are really very supportive of our plans and programs for San Juan. So the 5 who have chosen to remain in the minority, I respect them for their decision, but bottom line is the majority councilors are enabling me to be able to fulfill my agenda through the legislation which they pass in the city council.
So some political observers might say, I mean, I know you promised na this won't be a dynasty, right? But some political observers might say, Congressman Ronnie Zamora has been congressman for a while. How will you set yourself apart from him? Like, what will make you stand out apart from your father?
Well, my father is already retiring. This will be definitely his last term as congressman. He has served since 1978. And he's now 74 years old. So once he ends his term, he will be 77, and he will definitely retire. So by then, I will just be alone. Hopefully, I will be entering my second term, and of course, hopefully also a third term. But my dad will already be retiring. So I'm now looking at my current team, my current vice mayor, my current councilors. We really have to sustain all our gains in the past 100 days to eventually really change the city of San Juan. So right now, what I'm experiencing with the congressman is a very, very good working relationship. Right now, magkakampi ang congressman at ang mayor, at sino nakikinabang? Yung mamamayan. Before, we would really experience so much politics that a lot of Congressman Zamora's projects, which I, as Congressional District Office Head, and also when I was still Vice Mayor, I was the one really doing all the groundwork for the implementation of Congressman Zamora's projects. And we would really experience politics. Hinaharang talaga yung mga projects namin para sa San Juan. An example of this is West Cram Elementary School. 38 million peso 4-story public elementary school that was finished in December 8, 2015, but was unopened for 3 years and probably around 8 months because of politics. They were claiming that bullets would come out of the Camp Crame firing range just across the building. But when I won as mayor, we were able to open it within 1 month. In fact, I went personally to Chief PNP General Oscar Albayalde, and he himself gave the go signal as to the safety of the school. We were even able to get a certification way back in 2017 from no less than Secretary Briones of the Department of Education and then PNP Chief Ronald De La Rosa. Both also said that the school was safe. But the previous administration did not allow the school to open. This is an example of politics. 2 barangay halls, my father was able to secure funding for them. But these 2 barangay captains did not want to take on the project. So, who's in the losing end? Our constituents. Sayang, isipin nyo, 2 barangay hall, parehong 4-story multipurpose hall with wooden covered basketball courts. Nandun yung funding, inayawan nila. What happened? The funds reverted back to the national government. Sayang. So, yun ang nangyayari dati. But right now, since the congressman and the mayor are working together, San Juan is now experiencing a lot of infrastructure development. We have our own build here in San Juan, and this is because of the cooperation and the teamwork of Congressman Ronnie Zamora and Mayor Francis Zamora.
So before we wrap up, I'd like to ask, kasi one of your plans then is to make healthcare affordable. So
Yes.
how are you, what are the plans in place for that to happen?
We are already coordinating with public-private partnership groups. We are doing what you call a Swiss challenge, wherein we are getting unsolicited proposals from different potential PPP groups. In a PPP system, the PPP group will come in and invest in the completion of all our uncompleted facilities. So right now, we don't have a full laboratory, we don't have a dialysis center, we don't have rehabilitation centers. Our operating room is in bad shape. Basically, everything that we want to upgrade in the hospital, the PPP group will come in without any cost to the local government. And the only thing hampering this now is because the previous administration was not able to complete the 500 million peso renovation and reconstruction of the San Juan Medical Center. They loaned 500 million pesos for this, and they were not able to complete it. So when I assumed my term, I did an ocular inspection in the hospital, and when you look at the hospital from outside, from Domingo Street, it looks complete. But as you enter, you realize how incomplete it is. And much worse, 137 million pesos worth of medical equipment were delivered, and upon my ocular inspection, during the first week of my term, we saw that these were still in crates. They were not even opened yet. They were still unused. Well, how can you use them? The hospital is not yet complete and not yet fully functioning. But they were already fully paid by the previous administration. Now, I don't know, are these equipment really working? The warranty is already running. We haven't even tested them. So these are things that we really have to solve. But once the renovation is complete, the PPP group whom the local government's committee will eventually partner with will complete everything that we need. And this will allow us to provide for quality medical services for the people of San Juan. So right now what we're doing is we are partnering with private hospitals to be able to cover up for whatever services our San Juan Medical Center cannot give yet at this point, because it remains to be incomplete.
Okay, so regarding the public hospital, when can citizens expect, to have better services from that public hospital?
Okay, we're now rushing the contractor, who is the contractor of the previous administration. Remember, they have a contract for this, so we have no choice but to really fulfill whatever they have signed with the previous administration, because they're under contract. So we are already rushing them to complete the construction so that we can now implement the changes that we want to do in San Juan Medical Center. But I've already appointed a new hospital administrator. The previous one also resigned. The one I appointed was a former Surgeon General of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. He has vast experience, not just as a doctor, but also as a hospital administrator. When he was Surgeon General of the AFP, he handled 61 hospitals altogether at the same time. So I chose a general, si Joseph Acosta, General Joseph Acosta. So I chose a general to instill order and discipline in San Juan Medical Center. We also unearthed another anomaly here in the hospital, wherein receipts did not really reflect correct amounts. So if patients pay, for instance, 25,000 800 pesos. Only 800 pesos goes into the city coffers, and then the rest simply disappears. So part of my 100 days report tomorrow is data regarding this anomaly that we've uncovered. And this has already reached more than around 3.5 million pesos in receipts that we've discovered that are anomalous. So I decided to appoint someone from the military to be able to instill discipline in the hospital. A lot of our constituents' complaints in San Juan are really towards the hospital.
Sa healthcare.
Particularly sa San Juan Medical Center. It's a good thing now that since we have partnerships with private hospitals and we have funding in private and public hospitals, we're able to refer our constituents there if and when the services they need are not available in San Juan Medical Center. But rest assured that before my first term ends, you will see a totally different San Juan Medical Center. Ang pinangako ko nun, gawing tunay na public hospital ang San Juan Medical Center. And that will happen. In fact, the only thing hampering us now is the unfinished construction of the 500 million peso building that was loaned by the previous administration, which is quite unbelievable. I mean, if you have 500 million pesos, why cannot you finish the building? I mean, that's more than enough already to finish the construction. But that's something that we have to face at this point.
So aside from that, what are your other budgetary priorities for next year?
Well, we will really put in a lot of budget for the hospital. Once the PPP group comes in, they will spend for it. Then whatever additional funding we will be able to get, we will also put in for the hospital. I've already instructed our business permits and licensing office head and city assessor to be more efficient in tax collection. We will not raise the percentage of taxes, but we will make tax collection more efficient. We will make sure that businesses pay the right amounts. Like what I told you earlier, 400 businesses declared zero sales. They should have shut down already if they have zero sales. But why are they still operational? Obviously, they were not assessed the correct amounts in terms of business taxes. In terms of real property taxes, we are now fixing the assessments and making sure that the amounts assessed to them are correct. So once we are able to increase our income through efficient tax collection, then we can really now do a lot of things for San Juan. I want to have a full command center. This is part of our San Juan Smart City initiatives. A full command center that has CCTVs monitoring all the streets 24/7. The command center which will dispatch emergency vehicles. This will be connected to the San Juan City app. So it's all connected, and of course this will require a lot of funding. Funding is a big problem for us right now because we were left with a 1.2 billion peso loan, and most of the things that can be bidded for the year have already been bidded out. I was hoping the previous administration would only bid until June 30, since that is the end of their term, but unfortunately, most things in terms of procurement were bidded all the way until end of the year already. So my hands are tied, and I really just have to wait for next year. Once January starts, then we can now focus on better collection in terms of taxes, and we can now procure properly the things we need for San Juan.
Okay po. So to wrap up, a general question. What have you learned in your first 100 days about San Juan that that you didn't know before?
Well, we're uncovering a lot of anomalies. I had inklings already before, but until you really get there, that's the only time you will actually see it. Remember, before I never had any access to all these documents, to all these papers.
Yeah.
Everything was just like stories you hear.
Yeah, as councilor and vice mayor.
Yes, as councilor, as vice mayor. Yeah, we had
heard
we,
stuff,
we heard about all of this, but you really never had any access. You really never had a chance to do anything about it because we only had limited authority then. But now that I've been elected as mayor, I now have a chance to correct all of the wrongdoings, and I now have a chance to clean up the local government of San Juan. And that's something that I realize now. This is a very good opportunity to actually change San Juan. And I think, and I believe that that's the reason why people voted for me, because they really want to clean up San Juan. And this is what we will do in the next 3 years. Nangako kami ng makabagong San Juan, at yun ang gagawin natin. We've already started on our major projects. I'm happy to announce that we've gained a lot of ground in our first 100 days. I have 265 days to go, and hopefully 6 years after that. So given this period, San Juan will definitely be more progressive.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been Rappler Talk.